Hey everybody, this is Scott Grant of the Scott Grant Show, and I'm really thrilled to be here with Lee Lockett today. Now Lee, I've seen your banners flying on the beach, and I've seen the car with the wrapping, and it says "Know before you blow," which sounds a little salacious, but tell us, what does it really mean?
Well, in the non-salacious sense, Scott, what it means is you should really just know before you blow. A number of things, whether it's blowing into a breath machine, going to blows with your friends and getting a battery charge. There's just a lot of different things that goes into that slogan, but we want the community to know what the consequences of their actions are during criminal investigations.
Okay. So it's more than just DUIs then?
Sure. Drug possession, batteries, DUIs. We have a heavy focus in DUI-related charges, DUI manslaughters, misdemeanor DUIs, DUI accident cases.
And you're one of the best criminal defense lawyers in our area.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Everybody says it. Everybody. I read it in a magazine. But in any event, the know before you blow is telling people don't take the breathalyzer. And I guess the first advice would be don't drive when you've been drinking, right? Yeah,
that's the best advice I can give, Scott, and that's my first bullet point anywhere. Best advice is don't drive impaired, right?
Right.
It's not against the law to drink and drive, you know. There's a lot of thought on the streets that it's against the law to drink and drive. What's against the law is to drink too much until your normal faculties are impaired, and then to drive. But if your comfort level is I shouldn't have anything to drink and drive, that's a good approach as well.
Okay, so let's say that I don't take your first advice, and I have a few too many at the bar or a party, and I'm driving home and I'm stopped. That's when the don't blow into the breathalyzer comes in. What should I do?
Well, every case is so different. It's, you know, we can't give legal advice prospectively with hypotheticals, but what we can tell you is what your rights are.
Okay.
You don't have to, in Florida and in many states, take the breath test. If you're uncomfortable for whatever the reason, maybe you don't believe in the machine's reliability, maybe you think that the officer hasn't been straightforward with you all the way up until that point, and you're just not trusting of the system, whatever your reasons might be, you don't have to take the breathalyzer, nor do you have to take the roadside sobriety exercises either. Those are your options not to participate in those requests.
Well, that's interesting. And do you advise people, you say you can't tell people prospectively, and I do understand that, but do you advise people not to take those tests if they think they're guilty?
Well, what I would tell people is if you're in that situation and an officer is asking you to do the sobriety exercises at the roadside, if you would like to talk to an attorney before, many people would probably prefer to talk to an attorney, then just simply politely tell the officer that you would prefer to talk to an attorney before making that very important decision. If you are in fact confused as to what to do, because essentially, Scott, what you're doing is you're being asked to audition for your freedom on the side of the road, and that's a big decision. So you really need to take that into consideration before you say yes or no.
Well, I really like that terminology, being asked to audition for your freedom. We should put that on one of those banners and fly it.
It's essentially, that's exactly what you're being to do, because if you fail the audition, you might find yourself in handcuffs, so you need to be careful.
Yeah, and people who have had that happen to them, it's a degrading experience.
Yeah, sure, it is. It's very degrading, and some people are asked to do the sobriety exercises in a parking lot where bystanders are, the people are walking and watching. It's just very nervous all the way around, so it's a very big decision. But many people don't realize that you don't have to say yes. You don't have to take the breath test. There's lots of, you don't have to tell the officer where you've been. You don't have to tell the officer what you've been doing. Those are well within your rights to refrain or to hold back that information.
And that's in the news a lot right now, and causing a lot of drama and consternation. But what are your rights generally if the police are let's say questioning you?
Yeah, generally in any type of a case, no matter what the investigation is, you don't have to participate in a Q&A or an interrogation if you don't want to. The officers will, as you know, Scott, if you're in custody and the officers want to interrogate someone, they have to read them their Miranda rights. Listen to those rights. They're important. Many people don't know that they can actually exercise those rights at a police station with 3 detectives surrounding them. You can say no, don't feel bad, don't feel like you're offending anybody. These are important rights, so you're well within your rights to say no. You don't have to submit to a search of your person. Those are Fourth Amendment rights. You can decline the request to search your jacket, search your car, search your purse, whatever the case may be. Those are your rights, and you ought to think about them before agreeing to different things as you move through an investigation.
So generally, you have these rights not to be searched. Now, they can do a pat-down, though. Is that right?
They can't do a pat-down for officer safety. If an officer gets a motorist out of the car, that's the classic scenario, Scott. And if there is a belief that there might be some officer safety issues, then yes, courts will oftentimes allow for just a general pat-down search for weapons.
And then they typically, as Justice Brennan pointed out, they typically find something else, right?
Typically find something else, right? They might exceed the scope of that search, go into the pockets, inner linings of the jackets, whatever. That would exceed the pat-down search, but it does happen. So with the advent of body-worn cameras these days, we're uncovering a lot of different things that we might not otherwise have seen before these cameras. So yeah, it's very important to take a look at that.
The one thing I get a lot is, people have legal problems, and it's not always arrest, it's divorce, it's other things. But when it's in all these things, one of the first things I usually say to them is you need a lawyer. And I'm sure you'd agree with that, right?
Right. Yeah. You don't have to have a lawyer. People always ask me, and you're right. And this truth carries into all areas of the law, but certainly in my area, people will ask me, "Do you think I need an attorney?" And my typical response now is, well, there's an attorney on the other side, and his name is Mr. or Miss Prosecutor. So the state has an attorney on their side, so it might be in your best interest to have an attorney as well.
And I think in civil stuff too, I usually give that advice. And so when they ask me, on a criminal thing, I say, Lee Lockett's the guy I would talk to first. So pitch for you, Lee Lockett. If they want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
904-858-9818, or go to our website, knowbeforeyouBlow.com.
Know Before You Blow. That's it's catchy.
It's catchy, it rhymes, and everybody seems to like it. And but we really do. If you go on the website, there are 7 things that you need to know before you blow. It's free advice. It's good things to know. And I think, Scott, there are a lot of things to know that people don't know. We just want people to know.
That's great. Thanks for being with us. I admire you greatly, and hopefully people will learn from this little broadcast we did today.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.